Astellas Pharma.
Federal prosecutors have wrapped their closing arguments in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial against Sean Diddy Combs. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges after almost 5 hours. Prosecutors implored jurors to convict Combs.
On Friday, the defense gets their turn to address the jury for a final time before the prosecution's rebuttal. From there, the jury will get instructions for deliberations. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The defense begins their closing arguments tomorrow morning. Police report Oscar winner Brad Pitt's home in Los Angeles has been burglarized.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News Brad Pitt's home in the Los Feliz area of L.A. was ransacked by burglars on Wednesday night. LAPD officers responded and found the burglars had been inside and took an unknown amount of items. They were gone at that point. 3 suspects had jumped a fence and broke a front window to get in. Pitt was not at home. He's been publicly on the road promoting the movie F1. The LAPD is investigating the burglary. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Composer Lalo Schifrin has died. You might not know the name, but you definitely know the music. Best known for the theme for Mission Impossible, Schifrin wrote more than 100 other arrangements for film and television, Cool Hand Luke among them. Schifrin's sons William and Ryan confirmed his death. Lalo Schifrin was 93 years old. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
5:05 now, and with your KBNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelright. Well, new details are emerging about that deadly shooting that happened at a Salt Lake City protest earlier this month. Public records now indicate that organizers of the No Kings demonstration had failed to disclose that armed volunteers would be present, despite one later firing the fatal shot. Now, the June 14th protest, which was organized by a local affiliate of 5051, ended in tragedy when the self-described peacekeeping volunteer shot and killed a bystander off of Alu. Now, Salt Lake City police say the volunteer had fired after seeing 24-year-old Arturo Gamboa raise what appeared to be an AR-15 style rifle. Now, however, the city permit application shows that no private security or off-duty police were going to be a part of the demonstration. Now, just 2 days after the shooting, the local 5051 group confirmed, though, the shooter was a part of their safety team, claiming that he believed that there was an imminent threat. Now, police have said that they did not manage, approve, or train any internal protest roles. The volunteer who fired the shots has not been publicly identified, and no charges have been filed against him or Gamboa. Well, earlier this week, I mentioned that the Utah Grizzlies may be headed to a new location, with the team possibly up for sale. Well, now we hear word that the Maverick Center in West Valley City, which has been the longtime home of the Utah Grizzlies hockey team, is set for its first major renovation since opening in 1997. Now, this comes as the Grizzlies are facing this potential sale and relocation. Now, officials say that the upgrades, which include a new roof, updated accessories, and updated concessions, that is, and also replaced seating, have been planned for years, and are not in direct response to the Grizzlies' uncertain future. Now, Andrew Carroll, who's director of asset or optimization, stated that the goal of the remodel is to reimagine the guest experience, and local businesses are hopeful that even if the Grizzlies do leave the state, that another tenant will fill the void. Now, the renovations are expected to be completed by 2034's Winter Olympics. And a federal grand jury has handed down an indictment in connection to a fatal shooting that happened earlier this month in southern Utah. Chevelle Cottonwood, a 34-year-old of San Juan County, is now facing a charge of second-degree murder. Now, the incident unfolded back on June 10th when Navajo police responded to reports of gunfire just north of Aneth. Utah. Now, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, officers spoke with a woman who was at the residence during the shooting. She told investigators that she heard Cottonwood and the victim arguing, followed by multiple gunshots. Now, upon entering the living room, she found the victim on the floor, bleeding from a gunshot wound. Arriving officers confirmed the victim was deceased, and they located an empty shell casing along with bullet holes in the roof. Cottonwood was later found by police, reportedly hiding in nearby bushes. Well, we've been in the low 90s today. Now tonight we'll drop into the mid to high 40s. Then we'll see almost the same forecast play out again tomorrow into Saturday and Sunday, as we'll see these clear skies continuing through the weekend. Temperatures staying right around the low 90s. But first of next week is when it'll start heating up, getting back into the mid to high 90s into Monday and Tuesday. And weather this hour brought to you by Logan Extermination. They can help take care of those creepy crawlers and keep them from getting inside your home. Call Logan Extermination to have your home foundation sprayed. It's 752-8450 for Logan Extermination. And with your KVNU News headlines on this Thursday afternoon, I'm Will Feelright.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet.
Breaking news. Stimulating talk is what we do. KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Tired of that patch of dirt you call a patio? Ready to impress the neighbors and your in-laws? Introducing you, the Weekend Warrior. Thanks to Cast-A-Lite Tile and Masonry. With easy-to-install outdoor pavers and expert advice, you'll go from I have no idea what I'm doing to check out my backyard oasis in no time. They'll teach you how to do it right without the head-scratching or YouTube rabbit holes. Cast-A-Lite, go where the pros go, and now where you go too.
Senior Moments, sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group on News Talk KVNU.
My name is Bruce Lee. I'm here with my co-host Sid Roeder. We're here for another fun show.
This radio show is sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group, which is a group of professionals that has dedicated their time and efforts to provide information that is hopefully useful to seniors, their family members, caretakers, and really anybody who's interested.
Senior Moments, every Saturday morning at 7:30, right here on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show. I'm Jason Williams. 86 degrees right now, 5:10 in the afternoon. Very summer. Temperatures out there going to get a little warmer this weekend, so I'll take the mid-80s for now. But we're jumping right back in here. We have a very special guest joining us here in the studio to talk about something that, in fact, I was just discussing this with our guest. We take a lot for granted here in Cache Valley with the proximity of the university and what that means as far as what we have easy access to. I experience it most often by guests I can get here on the show. In fact, we have some things coming up for Engineering Week next year that will just absolutely shock you, that we can actually get this kind of contact. I'll just spoil it right now. We've got some NASA stuff that we're going to have direct contact with on the show here in the upcoming school year, but that is because the engineering school is a couple of miles away from the studio. This is in the similar vein, but he's joining us to talk about an event happening this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Logan Airport, and it is called Cache Airfest. This is sponsored in part by Leading Edge Aviation and Cirrus Aircraft, and they are presenting a lot of different things. So you can get out there and see jets. You can get out there and see an air show starting at 10 a.m. at the airport. There's a B-52 on display earlier this week. Oh, I'm sorry, B-25. I had that backwards. Thank you, Barron. I'll just introduce him now because he's going to have to correct me a lot probably. But joining us from Utah State University's aviation program and a lot of other things, too. We were joking about how I should introduce him. He's had so much experience in different walks of life. But Barron Wesemann here in the studio. And Barron, thank you for making the time for KVNU. Maybe start us out. How does one go about planning an aviation festival?
Thank you for having me on.
What's the first phone call you make in that scenario?
So actually, 10 years ago, I was right here in the radio station in a room that was not this nice. This is newly renovated, talking about an air show in 2015. So it's been 10 years. And so I was part of the Airport Authority Board committee 10 years ago that helped put the air show on. And so we were kind of thinking about this a few years ago. So Scott Weaver, Leading Edge, and I said, let's put this on. And so we got a committee together. And the first thing was we started calling community members and different agencies here about trying to get an airport open house. And we said, let's do something unique. So we came up with the name Cash Airfest. You may not remember, but we tried to plan this in 2020, and some big worldwide event shut us down. And so it's been a few years of us trying to get motivated again to put this together. But in the Air Force, I spent 27 years flying around the world. I'd been part of air shows at military bases for many years.
So not your first rodeo in
that's
organizing
correct.
them.
But the first time being the chair of a committee. And so we have about a dozen folks, key members on the committee that have helped put this together. But, we wanted to bring some sort of activity to bring people to the airport. So the first thing for an airport open house is you got to have a hook, right? Sure. Well, we are so blessed. Our own Brad Worston right here is an air show pilot. In the last 10 years, he's gotten quite famous out there. And so we had to schedule him right away. So when you say, who's the first phone call? It was to Brad Worston to say, save the date, 28 June 2025.
That's a good idea.
So that was last
the date
fall.
First and say, that's our target.
So the second thing we realized, we want to not do it the same year as the big air show down at Hill Air Force Base. Warriors Over the Wasatch is big, right? You don't want to compete with them, not for vendors. So we got together and started planning this activity out and, looking at the community and looking what we could do. So we said, what do we want besides aerial demonstrations? We want to have static displays. So Monday, what did you hear? The B-25 flew overhead, and they're providing rides and their static display out there.
We had calls here at the station.
I'm sure.
People calling in saying, did I just see what I thought I saw?
Yeah, so we're very blessed to have them come
we said,
up.
Yeah, that was a B-25.
So the next thing you know is we went and put this on the air show websites, and we started making phone calls. So we got folks from Idaho bringing in a T-6 and historic airplanes. We got folks from Heber coming in, Afton bringing in a Husky. We've got dozens of aircraft coming in from around the region, including some RV aircraft. These are Van's home-built aircraft. We're going to have, tail draggers, a biplane, a pit special.
Wow.
You're going to see a lot of unique airplanes that you normally don't see at the monthly breakfast out at the airport.
Sure.
But this is going to be an expanded opportunity to go see that. Then we decided, we want to do a couple other things. So we invited the Cash Cruise in to bring in some vehicles. So as an anticipatory teaser for their event coming up next month, you're going to see about a dozen vehicles. And these are going to be fun historic vehicles. Absolutely. So you're going to see those. Then we decided that we want to have something for youth and kids and other people. So there'll be a STEM center, hands-on activities dealing with aviation-themed events, drone simulators, paper airplanes, RC aircraft to see how they fly, even a Lego build. You don't get to take them home, but, having a chance to understand how airplanes fly and some hands-on activities in the shade to give a break. A ham radio operator is going to be there as well, talking about there's a big ham radio event on Saturday. So
I didn't know that.
Anything to bring aviation together. So we're real excited.
That is very cool. So you have the classics, some antiques even that will be on display, but you also have cutting edge, and I'm really curious to get out and see this myself. As I understand it, there is like a multiple year-long waiting list for these, but you have now it's correct me if I'm titling it wrong here, but it's the Cirrus Vision Jet, right?
That's correct. The Cirrus Vision Jet is...
These things are tiny. When you think jet, you think, at least school bus size, right?
Yeah, well, this is actually supposed to be like a personal jet,
this is a tiny little jet with one jet engine.
That's on the top of the aircraft. So there you don't have the risk of sucking up rocks and debris off a runway and, center of thrust above. And you got to come out and see it. But, it'll be out there.
It's like a taxi cab with wings.
A little bit bigger than a taxi, that's right.
That is very cool.
But the idea is it can operate at a smaller airports and be able to get someone a little bit faster than a prop airplane, and fly a little bit higher, which means they get better weather. So, there's a little bit of different niche market for that aircraft. Plus, the latest Cirrus airplane will be there. We'll have some modern aircraft. It's going to be pretty neat to be able to see the different types of aircraft. But the Vision Jet is kind of one of those newer, interesting aircraft out there.
Very cool. This is, I'm excited about this. And again, for listeners, this starts the gates open 9 a.m. on Saturday at the Logan Cache Airport. And Airfest officially gets underway at 10 a.m. with the air show performance. That runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And as we've discussed here with Barron, a B-25 Mitchell on display, many other aircraft, both old and new. But this is, as Barron has mentioned a couple of times, this is intended through Leading Edge Aviation and USU Aviation to be an educational event, right? To teach people about this industry.
Well, we're going to kick it off. So the public parking will be on the abandoned runway. So when you go down 2500 North or 10th West, turn west. Do not go to the main entrance on 900. That's for handicapped performers, vendors, volunteers. So go slightly west of the airport. That's where the abandoned runway opening will be, and we'll park you there. The parking opens up about 8:30, 8:40, but the air show is going to start at 9. At 10 o'clock, Skydive Ogden's going to come in and jump the flag. It'll be nice and patriotic. Then we'll have some morning performers. In addition to Brad Worston, Barry Hancock, a Heber native, and Carl Gashler, part of Red Thunder, are going to be here with the only Yak-50 two-ship demonstration aircraft in the world.
Really?
They've got a real neat two-ship as well as a single-ship show, so we get a threefer out of them.
That's very cool.
And Danny Sorensen with a biplane. He's a Bountiful local. He's going to be up here flying a biplane during that.
Oh,
now,
wow.
In addition to this, we've got a couple of teasing fun things. I don't know if you've ever seen the powered parachutes flying out at Logan, Cache Valley, but these things are small that you have a little tricycle and you put a little Rotax engine, and they're going to fly and do some incredible stunts out of powered parachutes.
That is very cool.
The RV formation will fly by. We've got a couple other surprises if everything comes in, but there'll be a morning show from 10 to 12, then about an hour-long break, and then from 1 to 3, we'll repeat some of those performances. And so it'll be a chance, whether it's morning or afternoon, to come see those demonstrations from those folks.
Okay.
What a wonderful opportunity to highlight. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our premier sponsor, Cache Valley Electric.
Sure.
They're out there, and they're helping sponsor this event, and so thank you to them. Spring Hill Suites in Logan is going to provide the hotels for our performers.
Oh,
and
nice.
Wilson Ford is going to loan a vehicle, so go out there and you'll see them providing a vehicle for our transportation for the performers.
To get people around.
Absolutely. Avfuels is going to be providing a discount on fuel with Leading Edge. But our Civil Air Patrol youth, you'll see them out there parking the vehicles, providing air show security.
That has to be fun for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, for me, I was probably 7 years old in Salt Lake City, lying on a cool grass on a warm summer day, watching the birds soar high, watching the clouds float by, and all those big airplanes with the red W for Wesemann, I thought, right?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, there was Western Airlines, now Delta. And all I could think about is, how can I do that? I joined Civil Air Patrol 43 years ago as a youth.
Wow.
I got a solo scholarship. 1985, I soloed for the first time in Provo. I need a shirt that says "Love at First Flight," because all I wanted to do was to go fly airplanes after that. So I forgot about being a doctor, a musician, and next thing you know, I'm going to Civil Air Patrol. I'm flying gliders, soaring in the Alps. I went to the Air Force Academy, graduated and commissioned, went to pilot training. I'm living the dream. So after
now you're teaching those who want to do the same.
Right, and that's what you get to come out and see at this air show, is you get to help inspire those next generation, helping people understand what aviation can bring.
Sure.
And so I'm now the wing commander for Utah, and we've grown 35% in our youth this last year.
Really?
We've got 18 squadrons throughout the state, from St. George to Cache Valley. We're looking at starting one in Wendover and Tooele. The Bear River Cadet Squadron is going to start up, so we got one in Cache Valley as well. But these are opportunities to bring aviation to youth. What's interesting, as I know, Utah State University has a land grant mission to bring education to the communities. That dovetails nicely with Civil Air Patrol. So I am so blessed. I know I teach during the academic year, but in the summer I get to visit these communities. And we bring drone education and gliders and other type of, handmade activities to bring them. You're going to see some of that at this airport. So the last thing is, Friday night, we're going to have a hangar dance, and a reception for the Division of Aeronautics. Come out to the hangar on Friday night at 1800, 6 p.m., and you can be there to meet the air show performers, and we're going to recognize our art contest winners. So we've had 8 students, 8 youth compete and submit artwork, and they'll be on display Friday night. Live music from the Cache Valley, the Cache Community Big Band Swing Dance Band will be there.
Oh, always fun.
The highlight, Nancy Potter, granddaughter of Floyd Hansen. Now, Floyd Hansen was the first airport manager, and during the Civilian Pilot Training Act of 1939, he helped start the Floyd Hansen Flying Service. And this training organization trained thousands of World War II pilots for the military, the Army Air Corps, including Gail Halverson from Garland, Utah. You may have heard of the Candy Bomber. He flew here in Cache Valley. He went to Utah State University and through Civil Air Patrol got his start.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, and so she's going to talk a little bit about Floyd Hansen, her grandfather, Friday night. So what an opportunity to learn about the history of aviation in Cache Valley.
Very cool.
So Friday nights, $10 to be able to pay for some food, and we're grateful for off-premise catering to provide that. But what a great opportunity to meet and get there's going to be some opportunities to meet some of the performers as well that night.
That is very nice. And for parents with kids, I know you mentioned this, Barron, but this is an educational event, and so there will be some hands-on STEM science opportunities for the kids, right?
Yeah, learning how airplanes fly, learning how to be able to bring, the simple thrust, lift, drag, and weight, and how that combines to help aircraft fly. And so they'll make paper airplanes and foam plate gliders, and again, they can spend some time in there to really understand and get hooked on aviation. Young and old alike. You don't have to be 8. You could be maybe 58, So I think it's a great opportunity to learn about aviation.
Maybe more reason at 58.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get a flight in an aircraft, the Commemorative Air Force has a few seats left. So if you go to their website, now it's not cheap because they got to pay for these old airplanes, but if you go on their website, you still can get a couple seats for flying tomorrow.
Really?
B-25.
That is good to know. This is for listeners. There's a link to that in Rod Boehm's story at CacheValleyDaily.com on the air show. I can also put it on our Facebook page, but it is azcaf.org, and then just click on the Logan, Utah tour stop, and that's where you book your tickets to get on the Mitchell Made in the Shade World War II Warbird B-25, and this made me laugh, Barron. Someone here said, "Okay, which one is this?" And someone else said, "It's the one from Masters of the Air on Apple TV." And everyone knew which plane they were talking about when they saw that. Tom Hanks and his influence with those shows. This is, as Barron has told us, this is multiple years in the planning. This is a big event, and again, it is just open to the community at the Logan Cache Airport. The Cache 2025 Airfest, June 28th, this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Gates open at 9. Air show starts at 10. Refreshments, educational opportunities, chances to get in and even fly in some of these planes. You have some antique stuff. You have some cutting-edge stuff. If you haven't seen, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with these, Barron, but if you haven't seen those little jets... I mean, it's not tiny. I shouldn't make it sound like it's a little box car, but when you think jet, you think a certain size, and then you get to see one of these, and it is very small and very light, has one relatively small jet on the top. I don't know. The technology behind that is amazing to me, and you think of the possibility of that type of technology, the possibility of that type of commuting. A lot of times we don't think commuting with jets, but you look at that and all of a sudden you realize, oh, okay, we might be doing that one day.
Well, and that's the thing about a small airport like Logan. It's not so small anymore. During the summer, we're actually the second busiest airport, but Utah State University has grown from about 150 students to over 800 in the last 10 years. And we're now flying out of Brigham City and Price. But it is the start of aviation in those small airplanes. And people get that start of a career that takes you around the world.
Sure.
A mile of road takes you a mile, but a mile of runway can take you anywhere in the world.
Sure.
Now, this all starts tomorrow. The Utah Division of Aeronautics is having a training and education summit tomorrow. This is the fourth year that they're doing that. So up on Utah State University.
Ahead of the Airfest.
That's right.
Tomorrow.
It's tied together to the Airfest, but a separate event. They're the ones that are hosting the reception to award our top performers in the state of Utah. So our Aviation Professional of the Year, the Young Professional, the Aviation Partner of the Year, as well as a Lifetime Achievement Award. And so it's kind of a neat opportunity to see those here. But during the day, we're going to have hands-on workshops of a jet engine test cell, how to change oil on an airplane, a rotor pathways meeting.
Oh, wow.
Building chuck gliders and drones. And so if you want to go to the Utah Aero webpage, you can still register for this event tomorrow and network. You don't have to be a pilot or mechanic. Anybody, even though some are citizens, I hope they're listening, there's a chance for them to come out, and join this conference and be able to network with those professionals, to have those hands-on breakout sessions. We'll be flying drones on the quad. There could be a helicopter landing on the quad again.
Very cool.
I mean, this is a way to bring
This is all day
aviation.
tomorrow.
This is all day tomorrow. So it starts about 9 and goes till about 4. It'll be at the Taggart Student Center for registration, but people can go on and be able to see that. It's just a wonderful opportunity to bring hands-on education to youth, adults alike.
Very cool. That is, again, all of this is centered around USU Aviation and leading edge aviation and Cirrus Aircraft presenting the air show on Saturday, all the events on campus tomorrow geared around USU Aviation and the educational program. And it's just one of the ways we're lucky here in Cache Valley that this stuff is right in our backyard. And Barron, I have to ask, before we're out of time, as far as USU Aviation goes, that program has grown quite a bit, right? Do you think, are people surprised by how quickly that's grown?
Many are. Folks who track aviation know that right now it's not just a shortage of pilots.
Sure.
There's a shortage of mechanics, shortage of dispatchers. There's a lot of aerospace engineering. There's a need out there. And so for people that are looking at the pulse of aviation in the country and around the world, we have a lot of international students come here. In South Korea, if you've been there, there's not a lot of airspace. And so we get a lot of South Korean students come here. And so, we're looking at these opportunities to help them learn. Some of the advantages of Utah State: high altitude flying, 4-season flying, beautiful cross countries over these gorgeous mountains that we call, the Wasatch and the Rocky Mountains. And so there's a lot of interest out there. But for a career where there's nearly 100% job placement, whether you're fixing or flying airplanes, and the latest area of growth is unmanned aerial systems, or what we call drones.
Oh, sure.
And so that's been a big growth at Utah State University. We're the only 4-year program in the region, and we have one of the largest programs in the nation preparing students. Our graduates in UAS are flying for Amazon Prime Air, making 6 figures.
Really?
Zipline, a Utah-based company, look them up. They're flying medicines and packages. Instead of an 8-hour drive, it's a 20-minute flight to bring life-saving medicines to remote areas of the Navajo Reservation or Africa.
And this is right out of graduation.
This is right out of graduation.
They're walking off campus into these jobs.
Our students are doing internships over the summer flying for Salt Lake mosquito abatement.
Oh, really?
Flying 55-pound drones. They're the size of bigger than a small child, So it's real. And sadly, you look at the world with unmanned aerial systems, it's a technology that's being used all over the world in different areas. But it's the surveillance. Aggie Air will be there Saturday as well as Friday. They do research, cutting-edge research using precision agriculture and those different technologies to help farmers grow crops better.
That's right.
And weather surveillance. So, you look at
there was a recent project through Aggie Air with Utah Department of Public Safety, right, to do damage assessment after a natural disaster.
Absolutely. Even Civil Air Patrol, we used a drone with a thermal camera. A couple years ago in the area of Vernal, a senior citizen wandered away from his old folks' home, and they couldn't find him for a couple hours.
I remember that in the news.
And so in 20 minutes, using a thermal camera, Civil Air Patrol located a guy about 1.6 miles away. And saved his life. There was an individual flew a drone and dropped a rescue ring buoy to someone who was stranded from a rip current off a coast.
Really?
And saved their life using a drone. So the era of being a rescue swimmer is probably going to change. Now you can use a drone to drop a ring buoy, and that gives time for the wave runner to go pick them up. So technologies are changing. But you know what's really kind of interesting? Our aviation maintenance professionals, when they graduate, not all of them go to the airlines.
Really?
NASCAR, Disney, Lagoon,
Really?
anywhere with these high-tech machines, they're hiring our mechanics.
That makes sense.
Water, hydroelectric power plants. So again, you go into aviation and you're prepared to do a lot of different careers.
That is amazing.
So to answer your question about Utah State University, since that's my other hat that I wear, our program is robust and growing. We became our own department a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we've hired some new folks. So now we're flying out of Brigham City and Price. We've got a maintenance program
cool.
starting this fall in Price, brand new building.
Yeah.
They'll be accepted next week. And now Utah State is operating the fixed base operator, the airport at Price, Utah as well.
That is very cool.
So Utah State University is making a big impact for aviation in the state of Utah.
Definitely leading out on this.
Yeah, we're friendly with our younger cousins at UVU and SUU.
Sure.
Their programs.
You let them borrow some things
There you go.
occasionally, right?
Actually, they've taken several of our graduates to help those programs. But we work together because no matter where you go, we're bringing aviation and careers to these future employees. A high school teacher at Logan High came to our summer program, got his private pilot's license.
That is so cool.
So again, it's not just for the kids right out of high school.
That is so cool. For listeners, more information about USU's aviation program and more, I've linked on our Facebook page. And again, for all the events on campus tomorrow, basically throughout the day there on the quad area and the student center, and then, of course, the big Logan Cache Airport Air Fest of 2025 on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. with gates opening. The air show gets underway at 10. Everything goes until 3 p.m. Opportunity to step inside a B-25 Mitchell, see some cutting-edge aviation technology as well, STEM and science learning opportunities for the kids, activities, food, and more. And all of that, again, brought to you by Leading Edge Aviation and Cirrus Aircraft, presenting the Cache Air Fest of 2025, and learn more about the USU Aviation program as well, especially if you got young people in the house may be interested, via the USU website link I've placed on our Facebook page. And visit Leading Edge Aviation's website at leaviation.com for more on the Air Fest Saturday. And our guest again, Barron Wesemann. Barron, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today, and let's check in again soon.
Absolutely.
Plenty of reason to talk.
I forgot my visual aid.
Oh, wow.
So this right here is a manufacturer's small wing, so students can come out there and use pop rivets and make an Aggie A.
That is very cool.
Thanks to Miles Miller for making this for tomorrow, but this is a hands-on activity that these youth, young adults and alike, come out. So when we talk hands-on activity, they're going to learn how to make aircraft, and I want them to be able to understand, the hands-on portion of this. So again, thanks to Cache Valley Electric for being our major sponsor for this. Spring Hill Suites for providing lodging for our performers, and Wilson Ford for the vehicle. There's a lot of folks that have come together to make this happen, and it's not too late. If anybody wants to donate, just reach out to Leading Edge, and we'll be able to get your tax-deductible donation to help support this event.
We should mention that this is a community-supported event.
Absolutely. It's a nonprofit community event. And, by the way, there'll be the T-shirts that look just like that poster for sale tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Only $20 for a nice memento. So
very cool.
There's things that we're going to do. We want to make this not a one-time event. So
I hope so.
I'll be back.
Barron, thank you. It's been a pleasure to have you here in the studio. And again, for listeners, links to all of this on our Facebook page, or you can do a simple search for Cache Air Fest, and it'll take you right where you need to go. It is a big event, and again, happening today and tomorrow on campus, and then at the airport on Saturday for the Air Fest. And fair warning to everyone, starting at 10, that air show begins, so you're going to hear them here in Cache Valley. If you spread the word on that, if people hear them, that's what's going on. And if you're just hearing it from afar, you're missing it. So don't miss it. Barron, thank you again. To our listeners, thank you as well for being here. And we'll be back with more of For the People after the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. You remember the days of school lunch in the cafeteria and what we had for lunch? Well, Utah students are now getting a new meat option in school cafeterias, bison. Ute Tribal Enterprises is now supplying bison meat to some schools across the state. Now, students and state agriculture officials recently visited the Ute Tribe's Bison Ranch, which has been in operation since 2015 and has been selling bison meat to schools in recent years. Now, officials say that bison is a leaner meat with a richer flavor and a higher protein content than beef. The program is supported by the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food's Farm School Initiative, which connects local producers with schools. Now, despite federal grants expiring, schools that have served bison say they plan to continue purchasing it for their students. Now, so far, students who have tried it are giving it high marks. One student at Altamont High School said she encourages other students just to try it. Don't be afraid of it. It's delicious. Well, dozens more Utah law enforcement agencies are now complying with a new state law aimed at improving the tracking of sexual assault cases throughout the state. Now, a 2024 law requires agencies to submit sexual assault data from their previous year to the Utah Commission on Criminal and Juvenile Justice by April 30th. Now, that data is then included and reported in a commission report that is made public during the summer. Back in May, though, it was reported that only 25 out of Utah's 116 law enforcement agencies had met the initial deadline. However, nearly a month later, the commission announced that 75 agencies, or about 65%, had now submitted their data as of June 23rd. Now, the commission attributes the increased compliance to working closely with agencies to address questions about the new requirement. The full public report on the data is expected to be released this August. And the University of Utah has permanently shut down its Sigma Nu fraternity chapter following a disturbing hazing investigation. Now, the university's report detailed 14 instances of hazing that more likely than not occurred last school year, and some involved alumni. Now, among the findings, pledges were reportedly blindfolded and taken to strip clubs without their consent. Recruits were also allegedly forced to drink to extreme intoxication, watch brain rot videos containing pornography and violence, and purchase and carry illegal drugs. Now, other allegations include forced chores, sleeping on cement floors, and being called derogatory names. Now, the university concluded that Sigma Nu had broke all three categories of its hazing policy and likely state and federal law, noting a pattern of misconduct that had occurred over the past 6 years. Now, the fraternity won't be able to reapply for recognition until at least 2031, and the National Sigma Nu organization has also indefinitely suspended the chapter's charter. Well, it's been a gorgeous afternoon as we've enjoyed more sunny weather today, and it's just going to continue through the rest of the week and into the weekend, as tonight we'll see temperatures dropping into the mid-40s. Tomorrow we'll be back into the low 90s. We'll continue to see these low 90s through Saturday and Sunday with mostly clear skies. And then the first of next week is when it's supposed to start heating up, as Monday and into Tuesday will be in the high 90s. And weather this hour brought to you by Quality First Insurance. Matt Robbins has the options for you when it comes to taking care of you and your employees. Give Matt Robbins a call at 752-0101, and he can help you spruce up that employee benefit package. It's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Headlines.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. President Trump holding an event today at the White House, inviting Capitol Hill lawmakers working to whip the votes for a signature budget bill, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
But we'll deliver a record tax cut, a record spending cut, a record investment in border security. We've done so well on the border.
President Trump's self-imposed deadline, July 4th, but there are hurdles. The Senate parliamentarian rejected key Medicaid provisions in the bill, as well as a long list of other provisions that would help pay for it. Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defended the strikes on Iran's nuclear sites and slammed some media coverage that claimed the strikes had limited impact. The CDC vaccine panel now recommending against certain flu vaccines that include a certain preservative. That coming on day 2 of the first meeting of the new Vaccine Advisory Committee appointed by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. This is ABC News.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you classic. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Jim Chimney Fireplace loves to help people make it through the winter and stay warm. Believe it or not, they even help people love the wintertime, but they also love summer because it's the best time to buy a Fireplace Extraordinaire gas fireplace. And now the best brand in the industry has electric fireplace options as well. To celebrate, Jim Chimney is offering free installation through August on any Fireplace Extraordinaire electric fireplace. They also have amazing deals on previous year models. See their newly remodeled showroom in Logan or find them online at jimchimney.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Are you on your feet a lot? When traveling, do you find yourself sitting for long periods of time? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and we have compression stockings that can help you. Our compression stockings are designed to improve circulation, reduce swelling, and provide unmatched comfort. Come check out all the different styles and fabrics. These aren't your great-grandparents' compression stockings. That's why we're excited to offer an amazing deal. Buy 3 pairs of compression stockings and get a free care kit. That's right, 3 pairs of compression stockings and get a free care kit. Come into any of our 11 locations and invest in your health this winter by embracing the benefits of compression. For more details, visit us at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
On the next Handle on the Law.
Yeah, I want to know, is it okay if I shoot a raccoon with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine to shoot the raccoon with a bow and arrow. Now, whether it's legal or not, I have no idea. But I'm saying, yeah, go ahead and shoot the raccoon with a bow and arrow. I just want to be there when I see the raccoon get it with a bow. You have a problem with raccoons in your house?
No, but in my backyard, he killed my kitty cat.
Yeah, I'd shoot him. That's a shame. Yeah, raccoons are vicious.
Saturday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Thanks again to Barron Wesemann for stopping by. Barron with USU's Aviation program, also a lengthy history with the civil service and more. And he is one of the planners of the 2025 Cache Airfest happening this Saturday. And as Barron told us, there are events on campus as well all throughout tomorrow during the day, drones and more. All of this is open to the public and free. And the Airfest on Saturday, gates open at 9 a.m. Air show starts at 10 a.m. And you have an opportunity still, a few spots left, to actually fly in a B-25. This is a World War II bomber, and it's a really cool-looking plane. Also, a lot of cutting-edge technology will be on display at the Airfest on Saturday, and definitely check out these little jets. And it's not little. I keep saying little because it's it's little compared to what you think of when you think jet. It's still pretty big, a little bigger than a car. But just the coolest technology with a single kind of tiny jet on the top of the cabin, and these weird kind of X-wing like wings. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know what I'm talking about. And you see that, and you instantly think of aviation in a different way. I mean, that is these can be flown so cheaply that becomes like a work commuting type thing for 6 or 7 people at a time. It's just, I don't know, really cool to think about and innovative stuff. So check it out. The Airfest again this Saturday. Gates open at 9. Air show starts at 10. They'll have science opportunity, educational opportunities for the kids, refreshments, food, and more, and games, all kinds of things. So the Airfest underway this Saturday. Thanks to Barron again for stopping by. More information via the links on our Facebook page, or check out the story on the Airfest at CacheValleyDaily.com. And, I feel like I have to start this way, but me and the opinion editor of the Deseret News are in a disagreement. He doesn't know this yet, but I get so flared up about this. This is such a dumb thing to get flared up about, too. I'm going to acknowledge that right out of the gate. But so Jay Evanson, opinion editor at the Deseret News, has an article today that's titled, "Are Self-Driving Cars Inevitable?" And in it, he details, much like artificial intelligence right now, how oversold our self-driving cars were and remain. By oversold, we mean you have the companies and the individuals behind the development of this technology basically, bursting through the wall and saying, this is a game changer. No one will be driving themselves anywhere by the end of this year. And then 10 years later, they're still trying to figure out how to get them to stop crashing into brick walls on the side of the road. We're going to see the same thing play out with artificial intelligence. It's being oversold right now as this game changer, but we're already seeing that it wasn't quite ready for prime time yet, and it's going to be years. But where I take my disagreement with Mr. Evanson at the Deseret News, who is normally a very reasonable guy, is that after he details his own experience with a self-driving car as part of an experiment the Deseret News did, which, by the way, they filmed and put on YouTube if you want to see it, where his self-driving car straddled the yellow line, straddled the center stripe on the road for a significant amount of time until another driver honked at them, and then it corrected. He says in the article, no one crashed, no one was hurt, but I believe traffic rules were violated, and we still don't know who would have had to sign that ticket if there had been one. That's a legitimate reservation, but he concludes in the end, answering his own question on driverless cars, which again was our self-driving cars inevitable. He concludes that yes, that it's just something that is just, we just have to acclimate. It's just going to be a part of life going forward. I disagree. And one of the reasons I get kind of flared up about this is sometimes the conventional wisdom that something is inevitable makes it inevitable. And this is one that I've decided to dig my heels in on because I maintain no one wants this. There was no huge market for self-driving cars. And the market that exists now has been inflated by everyone talking about self-driving cars. This is, I promise you, I hope I live long enough to see myself proven right. But this is a fad. This is one of those technologies, we've seen this before throughout history, but this is one of those technologies that seems really cool and has some practical application in some settings, but I guarantee 20 years from now, everyone will look back and remember self-driving cars. Remember when everyone was talking about that? How dumb does it sound now? I guarantee that's where you end up with self-driving cars. And the one reason I say this is outside of, again, some limited practical applications, self-driving vehicles do have practical applications. If perfected and if they continue to work on the safety when it comes to, car-based transit for, traveling commuters or even maybe someone in a metropolitan area who travels the exact same route every day to work. But listen to what I'm describing there. You're basically talking about public transit. You're basically talking about, and when people in a metropolitan area have the choice between getting on a TRAX train and riding it to work, or getting in a car and finding a place to park it near their work, but not having to drive on the way there, you see how ridiculous that sounds? Why would anyone choose this? If you could use public transit to get to work, and you do that because you don't want to drive, why would you choose a scenario where you still have to do all of the unpleasant things that are involved with car ownership, like maintenance, finding a place to park in downtown Salt Lake, for example, paying for a place to park, likely $20 a day? Why would you do all of that when you could just get on and ride the bus for 56 cents? That is why I think what's missing in all of this is that people drive because they like to drive. People drive because it can be fun. People drive because it gives them some freedom. The self-driving car is meeting no need outside of maybe I mean, if I'm a cab driver or I'm these big rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft, I may be a little nervous at the potential of them actually perfecting self-driving cars. And I do think there's probably a demand there once it gets there. where people will say, you know, if you're traveling, you're on vacation with your family and you just need to get from the airport to your hotel, and there's this, you know, app-based, very cheap self-driving car service, and they'll show up a lot sooner than any other mode of transportation. Absolutely. That's perfect. That's a practical application for this. I'm talking about this idea that our freeways one day are going to be chock full of people sitting there doing nothing in a self-driving car. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. And yet it seems like such a foregone conclusion, right? Like we've all been taught and told for years now that this is just where it's all headed. I disagree. I honestly don't think there will ever be enough of a market for self-driving cars to allow them to take over. I think you'll actually see some other technology replace cars entirely before you see self-driving cars dominate the transportation world in any way. And again, I base this entirely on the fact that why would you do all of the unpleasant things involved with car ownership and take out the one thing that can be kind of fun sometimes, which is actually operating the vehicle? You still have to do the maintenance. You still have to pay to park it. You still have to register it. You still have to insure it. All of those things you're still doing. The only thing you're getting with a self-driving car is now you sit there doing nothing while you travel from Brigham City to Layton. Why? Why would anyone want to do that? This is the strangest thing. So, unfortunately, Jay Evanson, opinion editor at the Deseret News, he's bought the Kool-Aid. I'm just kidding. He's a very nice guy, and I don't mean to make fun at all, but I do disagree with his conclusion. I don't think driverless cars are an inevitable conclusion. Are they going away entirely? No. Am I asking for them to? No. I think they'll perfect the safety. They've been greatly oversold, and Elon Musk is primarily to blame for that, but it appears he's in the business of overselling, and maybe that's a smart business move. I don't know. Seems to be backfiring on him a little bit, but I see their application. I see them taking over in certain environments as a thing that we're all just used to and see. The Waymo cab in Los Angeles, one of those was on the news recently because it was set on fire during one of the protests. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is I think you can get 2 people in it. It's very small, and it'll take you. It only runs in the city. It will take you out to the airport or to the airport in LA. It'll take you most places around the city, and it can enter regular traffic, but not on roads that go any faster than 55 miles an hour. That, I think, is the destination of self-driving cars, that type of application. Maybe in delivery driving as well, you might see that. But as far as, again, I-15 being chock full of people just sitting there twiddling their thumbs while they ride in a self-driving car, what is the incentive to do that? There's none. If you're going to be stuck on the freeway, at least get the fun of operating the vehicle, right? All right. Rant over. Check it out, though. It actually is an interesting article from Evanson at the Deseret News because he does break down a lot of the safety issues that have never really been resolved. He also talks about a Brookings Institute study that is really interesting look at how attitudes towards safety and automation have evolved over the decades, going all the way back to the launch of the commercial airline industry, when everyone just had to kind of sit in this tube and trust the pilot, and how everything has sort of changed and evolved over the years. And that's how he comes to his conclusion that we'll all adopt this one day. But I really think the incentive is just not there. Check it out. I've linked to the Deseret News opinion piece from opinion editor Jay Evanson on our Facebook page. And we'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, Feel the Love is more than just heating and cooling. It means giving back. 5 complete HVAC systems will be donated to a deserving person or family. Feel the love and nominate that person or family in need at mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Insuring your business can be frustrating. If you are confused about coverages, your rates are increasing, or you can't get a hold of your agent, it's time for a change. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. We do return your calls because we work for you. We believe that protecting your business should be affordable and hassle-free. As an independent agency, we have access to multiple carriers like Auto Owners Insurance and will give you options. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Finding comfort outdoors by upgrading your landscape is easy with the creative touch of Canyon Landscaping. Imagine beautifully designed planting beds, an outdoor patio with landscape lighting to help you relax, entertain, and enjoy your home. Your project designed around your lifestyle and professionally installed, on budget and on time. See their work at canyonlandscaping.com or call 752-3838 to get started right away. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
Join us each week for Music in the Spoken Word featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcasting the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning each week. Music and the Spoken Word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
That's our time for today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Due to my somewhat negative rant there about self-driving cars, I'm going to leave everybody with a feel-good story. This was the story of a Michigan bear that had been spotted several times, actually, had been spotted roaming around the woods outside of a Michigan town, small Michigan town, with a plastic bucket lid wrapped around its neck. DNS and others, natural resource staffers and more, tried to do something about this several times, and they were never able to trap or catch the bear long enough to actually get this. They could see his neck was scarred, missing hair. He was actually developing calluses after 2 years of having his head stuck in what was basically the lid of a plastic barrel. And they were worried that it was actually, as he got older, was going to hinder his ability to hunt and eat. They were actually able to finally tranquilize the bear in late May, immobilized and cut the lid off. It took 2 minutes to cut the lid off, and the bear woke up and ran away, and they filmed the whole thing. I've linked to it on our Facebook page.